Here's a quick review of the 25-liter Alpha backpack by K&F CONCEPT. I like this bag just fine, but I would give it a 4 stars, and here is the reason why. There are several features of this bag that is a little bit perplexing. Like, for example, if you rotate the bag to the bottom here, there are these hooks that are not specified anywhere in the literature or on their website. And usually when I see these hooks, it means that you can actually hook stuff, down to at the bottom of the bag. You can actually, singe like something like a coat or like a sleeping bag or something like that. However, there's a hook here, but nothing on this side here, on the opposite side, to actually run a strap across. Nor is there any other hook up here. There is a hook up here, but it is for the tripod singeing strap, which we'll talk about this one later. So that's one aspect of the bag that I'm a little bit perplexed about. The rest of the bag is fine. The construction is great. Like, the quality of the construction is pretty amazing. The one thing that I did not like at all is the inside of the camera compartment. There are included dividers, and if you can see, it's not in here. I'm actually using this camera bag from Lowepro to actually hold my camera gear in here, because I like the concept of being able to take out the camera compartment when you're not using it, instead of like having it permanently set up inside the bag. Let's say you want to use the bag for something else, you can actually take this Lowepro. This is not included. Just want to reiterate that this is not included. I purchased this separately. But you can take this bag out, and then you have this nice empty compartment that you can use. Now, the reason why I didn't use the included divider is the fact that the Velcro on those dividers are very weak. They can attach to the sides of the bag just fine, but they will not attach to each other on their own. And they're very, very weak. And when I try to set up the bag for my camera, it is pretty impossible to actually have them held together. The nice part about the compartment here is that there is a divider here that you can divide things a little bit further. So that way, if you have like a telephoto lens or a drone or something like that, you can actually put that in here. This divider, it's nice and thick. It's very structural, which is nice. But you can remove this, so you can have one large compartment if you'd like. But what I like is that I would like to keep the camera compartment where it is right now. And there's a little strap here to basically kind of hold everything together in this compartment. And then what I can do is this particular bag here, placing it inside like this. And actually, let me put the straps in here first. Placing it inside. I can actually leave the zipper open, so that way you can see all of my camera gear in here. Can access all of the lens. There's a camera, battery, so on and so forth. The nice thing about it is that I can actually flip the lid open like this and close the bag, and it closes up very nicely. And when I need to access the camera, it's right there. It's already ready for me to take out. But the fact that the included dividers doesn't work very well for the bag is very disappointing. And as you might notice, I added a pouch here. This is not included with this bag. This is something that I added. I want to talk about the sternum strap real quick. The default position that came with the bag is actually over here, which I find it to be too low. The strap in general feels a little bit long, and it's attached a little bit low. Ideally, what I would like to have is the strap be attached a little bit higher, so that way, currently right now, if this bag is sitting on my back like this, the top is actually tilting backwards because the strap is positioned a little bit too low. So if the strap is positioned a little bit higher, the bag won't be so top heavy. It won't tilt too much backwards. It's not that big of a deal. The straps are very comfortable. You can see it's a really nice thick padding here. There's a luggage pass-through strap, which is nice. And if I open up the top, since I allocated a lot of space here, there's actually half of the bag is empty, so I can put things in here like shoes or things like that in there. And then the other half of the bag is the camera compartment. What I do wish it has is a separating pouch or something like that over here in addition to the zipper pouch. I do like the zipper pouch being on the top like this. However, since there's only one, I ended up having to like put everything in one pouch, and it's a little bit hard to find things. If there are organizational pouches inside here, I think it would be great. Another perplexing thing that I discovered, which, I mean, it's not that big of a deal, is the front pouch. I really like the fact that the front pouch is nice and big. However, when you unzip the outer zipper like I just did, you'll see another zipper in here. But this allows the capability to actually expand the front pouch, which is kind of nice. However, it's a little bit confusing because what happens is that in order for you to close up the pouch, you're ended up closing the main zipper into the compartment. So like when you open it up, it's like, okay, well, now I can't access it. Now, of course, you can actually do what I do, which is basically leave this open the whole time. However, when you're rummaging through your stuff, you may or may not, like for example, I'm wearing a ring. You may or may not catch the ring or your jewelry or whatever, your watch or something like that on these zippers, because you have to leave the zipper open in order for you to be able to access the pouch. Like when you close it, for example, see how I had this before, like this, unzipping it, and then you have this exposed zipper, which is not a great detail, but it's not that big of a deal. It's just something a little bit annoying, and it also obstructs these pouches here, because if you leave this closed, if you want to access something very quickly, you have to like kind of rummaging through and trying to find and get this flap out of the way. It's annoying, but it's not too bad. There are two pouches in here, but there are short pouches, which is not great. I would prefer that there's one long pouch and then maybe a couple little pouches that goes all the way down to the bottom, because that way I can actually organize my cables a little bit better, my charger, things like that. However, the lack of organizational pockets is a little bit of a problematic thing with this bag. There is a strap here so that if you have something big, you can actually strap it in, and you can actually fit other things. Let's see what else. There is a side pouch here, which I use for a battery charger, like a power bank. A couple USB cables, a couple mesh pockets here. It's fine. It's a little bit tight for my liking, because with the power bank, inside like that, it's hard for me to actually make room for a water bottle. This strap for the tripod, you can actually fit the tripod in here as well by opening up the pouch or fitting it through. This strap here is very, very easy to come off. Like, it's not a problem with this side, but it's always a problem with this side for some reason. And as I hook this back in, it does feel very loose, the loop here. So, you know, I try to tighten down the strap a little bit, but you don't want to tighten it down too much that it chokes the open space in here. So, not perfect, but not a deal breaker. Let's see what else. At the bottom, there is a pouch here. Store your raincoat, or rather a raincoat for the bag. So the bag is not 100% waterproof, which is why it requires a cover like this. And the cover sits in the bottom of the pouch, which is nice. Another thing I should mention, speaking of the bottom, is that when you're opening up here, there's actually not a lot of padding at the bottom here. It's basically the same amount of padding that you would get, you know, from on the sides and all that stuff. But I find that that's usually not enough, especially if you're placing your camera in this compartment and you're putting your bag down on the ground. Especially if your gear is heavy and all that stuff, it gets a little bit tricky to try to put your bag down in a gentle way possible without breaking anything. The argument that I could make is that since the raincoat or the bag cover lives at the bottom, it acts as an additional cushion, which I think is okay, but still not enough. I would rather have something like this, something a little bit more robust at the bottom. But since I have a camera cube, if you will, inside here, I'm pretty confident that my camera will be well protected. And again, like I said, this is not included, and I only got this because the camera dividers for this bag is entirely insufficient. And I mean, it's a okay bag. What I like about this bag is that it's actually nice and compact. I have a other 25-liter bag, camera backpack before, and it's so thick, it's so big and all that stuff that, you know, when you're walking through the airport, you ended up knocking things over and all that stuff as you turn around. I like the look of this, you know, the nice and simple look. The zippers are pretty good quality. There's a little zipper tag here that feels very, very robust. You know, for me as a 5'4" height person, you know, I'm certainly not tall, and this bag is perfect. You know, if you're short like me, this bag is perfect for you. But then again, you know, you have to move your sternum strap a little bit higher to make sure that your bag doesn't tilt backwards when you're walking. Tighten down your shoulder strap a little bit will help as well. And the shoulder straps are pretty comfortable, so have no complaints there. And the 4 stars, you know, I have to deduct 1 star because of the interior dividers are not great. There are a couple annoying things that I pointed out earlier, and a couple little things like not having enough organizational pouches inside the bag itself. That basically just kind of took off 1 star for me. Hopefully this review is helpful, and thank you for watching.
if there's anything 30 years in the photography industry has told me or taught me, is that no matter how many bags you have, you will never, ever, ever, ever be happy. Ever. Like completely happy. Okay, so this one pops out for more room. That looks to be its only function. And I did take a peek at this bag earlier, and I think you'll see why that pops out. Got some side pockets with some stretchy material, zip open pockets for cards and stuff. Or let's see, some side access, quick grab stuff. But it appears that the main access, and this is throwing me off a bit, is, because I looked at this earlier, is from the back. Inserts, rain cover, don't need it. But here it is. It's kind of like when you include that thickness there of all this stuff. That's a laptop sleeve. And you take out that much of it, that doesn't leave you really much room. I mean, what are you carrying in here? Pretty small, pretty thin. Like if you had the small mirrorless bodies, that would work. It might work for my small LED lighting. This is odd to me. Like, what is this all about? Doesn't seem to serve a function, unless I'm completely missing the point. I guess that gives more room here, but it's at the expense of being able to use the bag like a bag. Like, it just takes up really valuable room given how shallow the bag is. So I don't know, this bag is really, it would take a lot of work. I mean, I don't want to like slam a bag just because I don't get it right away. I like to be open-minded. So, you know, this is gonna be one of those bags where you're gonna have to like work on it a little bit to see if it'll even work for you, because it's just not, there's not an obvious like, what is it for kind of thing. It just seems to be a lot of features thrown together, and the main thing is that it's very shallow, and the lid or the back takes up probably going on a quarter of that. So it's like, what are you actually going to get in here? That's my thing. It's like this. It's compact. So if you have a lot of small light gear, or small gear anyway, thin, that you can lay out. Yeah, great. Good for that situation. But if you need any sort of depth at all, I don't think this is your bag.
So I thought it was finally time to leave a review for this bag that I bought a few months back. I wanted to wait a while until I'd filled it with kit, had a few hikes out of it and used it day to day before I left one, so I could give an honest review. Might help somebody else make a decision that they can't make. So yeah, I'll just show you through the bag. It's a really, really well made bag. I'm quite impressed with it for the price. My partner, she's a professional photographer, and she has a £260 camera bag, and she said it's no different really from this. The quality is just the same. It's really, really well made bag. You won't be disappointed. So yeah, I'll show you the front part first. Seems it's already facing me. That's where I keep my gimbal. My Scorp Mini 2, fantastic gimbal. Only issue with this gimbal is it's got the handle attached, the briefcase handle attached, so it does make it kind of awkward shape. But even though I was going to put it in the top hood, it won't fit, so it happily fits in the front there with absolutely no problems at all. Fine. So the top hood, where it was going to go, is here. As you can see, it's quite spacious. It's like, you know, as wide as my hand spread out. This would fit a gimbal in if you want to put the gimbal in there. It's just got my cables in, power banks, plugs, cables, lens blower, loads of stuff can fit in there. It's really spacious. Main compartment. We've got the MacBook there, 15.5-inch MacBook. Drone all fits in there. Try and get a bit closer to show you. DJI Mini 4 Pro fits absolutely snug in there. The controller's under there with one of these separating it so it doesn't get scratched from the drone. ND filters, batteries, spare batteries under there. Fits very nicely. Obviously camera with my wide angle lens on. Go that way or that way. You know, my 16 to 35 in there, my 35mm plug to charge my camera batteries. Camera that way, it's easy to grab out. I'll show you the side while it's open. So you've got obviously these side zips that allow you to access your camera from the side. So if you're out and about and you don't want to open the main bag, just come in, grab your camera out. Oh, you know, that way, it's just so easy and nice. Zip that back up. It's just heaps of space in this bag, honestly. I haven't even filled it up. This side, you've got that side zip, which I've got spare SD card for my drone, some leaflets, cards for my camera in there. That's all decent. Your side pouches, that's big enough to fit a decent sized bottle in. I use a Life Straw filter bottle, and my Life Straw fits in there really snugly. And then obviously on one side you put that, the other side you can put a large tripod. So yeah, I honestly can't pick a fault with this bag. It really is fantastic.
Le sac à dos pour ranger tout ce qui est accessoires, photos ou autres. Donc nombreux rangements. Donc rangement sur dessus avec une petite poche filet fermeture. Quand on ouvre, on peut soi-même se faire les compartiments avec les scratchs. Donc c'est à nous de faire les compartiments qu'on veut. On peut enlever et remettre en fonction de ce qu'on veut mettre dedans. Un scratch pour faire tenir le tout. Ici pareil, une poche à scratch. Il y a vraiment beaucoup de rangements. Sur les côtés, on a aussi un rangement ici, fermeture. Pareil de l'autre côté. Sur le devant, on a une réhausse. Les sangles pour maintenir ce qu'on veut. Des bretelles, donc bien épaisses, pour mettre sur la valise la sangle. Les bretelles réglables, bon maintien. Encore une petite poche dans le fond du sac. Une poignée. Il est vraiment très fonctionnel. Super bonne qualité.